This paper has nothing written on it. It's just here for posterity's sake, honestly. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Real People. This is episode 4, Zombieland Double Tab Review. I'm your host, Sam Elkins, and I'm joined today by the one and only Alex McPherson.
Hello.
And today, like I said, we'll be reviewing Zombieland Double Tap. So, this first section is spoiler-free. Later on, we'll get into the spoiler section, revisit some of the other stuff. But for now, you can keep watching if you haven't seen the film. So, right off the bat, just some initial thoughts. What did you think about the film overall?
I mean, perfectly enjoyable, but it felt like the kind of thing that I could just watch on TV, on cable one day,
Yeah.
and kind of doze off to. It didn't really feel like the big event like I was hoping it would. And perfectly entertaining, but just didn't have like the emotion or like the stakes or just the heart of the original, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one when it came out, I remember I was young, I was like in 7th grade or something, and I remember watching that and just being so excited about everything that happened in the film, like just how funny it was, how fresh it felt. And then when this one came out, it felt like more of the same, but it didn't feel like it grew at all. It felt like it was still stuck back in 2009. But yeah, so let's start off with the good things, though. What are some things that you did enjoy about the film, generally?
I mean, I enjoy like the self-referential humor. The action scenes were good because they obviously had a lot bigger budget for this. So those were fine. Mm-hmm. I like some of the new supporting characters, such as the doppelgangers. You know, they're only not in the movie that much. But Tom Middleditch. And Luke Wilson. They did a really good job of just mirroring, Columbus and Tallahassee. I definitely appreciated like the supporting characters were a fresh addition, but it felt like a zombie. Like it just resurrected a bunch of dead tropes from 2009 and then just made a movie out of it. So, what were you expecting going into Zombieland Double Tap? Well, I mean, I was looking forward to like reuniting with like these characters like Columbus, Tallahassee, Wichita, and Little Rock, because I found them very endearing from the first film. Just looking at how they progress, like Tallahassee's become kind of like an overbearing father figure. Columbus has gotten a lot like more like brave, I guess, but also like self-centered and kind of just a jerk. Yeah. And Wichita, I don't know if she's really developed much at all from the first one. I mean, she makes some weird decisions in the movie, like especially early on. You're just like, this would make sense when like she first meets him, but like at this point, like 10 years later, I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense now. So
and they never specify how long after the first film it takes place. So a lot of the things that happen are a little confusing, because they're not sure what frame of reference they're supposed to have.
I think like when it's not like directly referencing like the first movie, the humor just, I mean, it's not bad. It's like entertaining, I guess, but it's like lowest common denominator, in my opinion. Yeah. Like there just doesn't seem to be much like commentary or like real like intelligence behind it. It just kind of like, I mean, it made like the small child sitting in front of me like laugh hysterically, and that's saying something.
Madison. I saw a lot of critic reviews that were like, she's the highlight of the film. What? Really? I disagree. What are your thoughts?
I mean, she was effective in that she was like supposed to be super annoying and stuff. So it's quite annoying. Yeah. But I mean, she had more scenes than like Little Rock did. It felt like, at least.
No,
like,
she
her
definitely
scenes, like, dragged on. I was like, well, they aren't even. She's just like a very like stale like caricature.
Yeah.
Like this dumb blonde.
It was the quintessential dumb blonde from the mid to late 2000s, and that's one of those dead tropes from 2009.
Just like lowest common denominator. Like, it doesn't even. I don't know.
Like she was very effective, and the Zoe Dutch who plays her, she did a terrific job in that role. It's just that character just felt so like I just wish they had done more with the character. Like fleshed her out more or something, because she was just one note. She had one thing to do the whole time, which is be as dumb as possible. All right, well, that's all the time we have for the spoiler-free section. Now it's time to move into the spoilers. Let's talk specifics. Where do you want to start?
Well, I was super annoyed that they didn't kill Madison at the beginning. I was like, yes, Columbus just shot her in the face.
Yeah, like when she started puking, after she had just been eating, I was like, I bet she's just allergic. She's just allergic. It's going to be a big gag later. And then when she was in the woods and she faces Columbus, I see her face and she's just swollen everywhere. And I'm like, okay, yeah, she's just allergic.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you could predict that. Somehow I could not.
Really?
I thought she was dead, so I was really disappointed.
I personally didn't want her to die because I thought they were going to do more with her as a character.
Yeah.
But since they didn't do anything more with her as a character, I agree she should have died at that moment. But I also think that would have been kind of tone deaf as well if they had just, brought in this dumb blonde as a character and then just introduced her, had all the characters, including Columbus, who's the least annoyed by her because he gets to have sex with her. But... and then just like turn her into a zombie and then have
Columbus just makes
shoot.
bad decisions.
He
He's
does.
just really dumb in this movie.
Speaking of bad decisions, this film takes place some number of years after the first one. It doesn't ever say.
Yeah. Why don't they say how many years after the first one takes
But
place?
it's clearly a decent amount of time because everything is overgrown with wildlife. The White House has vines and everything on it, so it's been a decent amount of time, a few years at least. You don't know if it's been 10 years. I went into it just assuming it was 10 years later.
Yeah.
But then Columbus proposes to Wichita and she yeets on out of there.
You're like, I don't want to be too attached.
Yeah, it's like you've been together
what the heck?
for 10 years, or even 65, even more than 2 years, probably. You've been together for that long, and then he proposes to you, and that's what freaks you out?
So, a decision that would have made sense in the first movie, maybe. Well, I mean, they already did it, twice in the first movie, so...
Yeah.
I don't know, it just didn't serve a purpose besides being an Easter egg.
No. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, Little Rock's decision to leave both times, with Wichita once, and then leaving Wichita the second time, those made more sense, because she... kind of was in this angsty teenager phase, which was weird because if it is 10 years later, then she's in her early 20s. Because she was 12 in the first one, I think. I'm pretty sure she was 12, or the character at least, not Abigail Breslin. She's probably 30 now. I don't know. But so it made kind of sense. They were going for this angsty teenager. She feels tied down. She doesn't have a boyfriend, which I thought that was a little derivative, but whatever. And then
playing into a stereotype yet again.
Yeah, exactly. That song from 2009. Everybody was very driven by romantic interest.
Yeah, and specifically all the female characters were motivated. I mean, they're just forced to do things by the male characters, which is they didn't really. Yeah, you already you said earlier, they didn't have any agency, or
No.
Wichita has no agency.
Whereas Tallahassee didn't seem to have any development that made him more likable than he was, because at the beginning of the film, Tallahassee's not very likable.
He was my favorite character for the first.
He
movie.
was, and they turned all the characters into caricatures of themselves in this one, and then he's the poster child for toxic masculinity as well.
Right.
Just getting so upset about his surrogate daughter dating somebody else that's different from him.
Yeah, it's that's the Twinkies.
Yeah.
In this movie, because they don't even mention Twinkies in this whole movie. What the heck?
Yeah.
That was one of his defining quirks from the first movie.
And that's one of the other things is that in the first movie he would get angry about things, but the only thing he'd really throw a fit about was Twinkies, and that was so funny.
Now he's just throwing a fit about Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly. They just phoned it in.
And because he's saying that he wants to become a Blackfoot Indian, right?
Yeah.
Which implies that there's gonna be some kind of sacrifice that Tallahassee's gonna die in this movie, which I mean, I didn't want to happen, but if it would have given more emotion to this movie, like I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, at least they tried to do something emotional in this movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, they even undercut that because you think he's going to die like 3 different times when he's driving off and then he just turns around. When he jumps off the side of the building, you're like, oh, well, he's just hanging on.
Yeah, yeah.
He's fine.
And then Columbus in the weird narration is also like, he made the ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice is like dying for somebody.
Exactly.
So when you say somebody makes the ultimate sacrifice, you're not being ambiguous.
You can just say he was brave. Like,
yeah.
It is the ultimate sacrifice beats death.
That means you're literally telling the audience that he died and then being like, just kidding, I was lying before.
Right.
Like a liar. Getting into the side characters, Nevada, as a character, talk about having no agency. She was a driveway for men to park their cars in.
That's what they literally say.
They literally say that in the movie. And Luke Wilson, who apparently used to sleep with Nevada, Luke Wilson's character Albuquerque, and Tallahassee, after just sleeping with her, Nevada is played by Rosario Dawson, and then they're like, this is my driveway, I always park in this driveway, and then Tallahassee's like, well, I'm parked in this driveway now, and then it's like going back and forth, and then you realize, oh, they're talking about her, and it's like,
of course they're talking about sex. That's the kind of lows this movie goes to.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that style of humor in movies, just personally, so maybe it would work if you like more like the raunchy stuff. But
well, that's the other thing, you can be raunchy and also smart.
Yeah.
Like, just look at Big Mouth, They have a ton of sex humor in that, but it's like, it's not like low punches.
Well, I will say the one bit that I did like was when Flagstaff and Albuquerque become the super zombies,
the T-800s, yeah.
T-800s.
That whole scene, that was the closest they got to having, like, intense stakes. Because it was, like, one-on-one. These were zombies that they already established before that were very, very hard to kill. But then later on, they just shoot him in the head once and he's dead. So it's like, wait, what is the truth? How hard are these zombies to kill? Because you shot him in the head like twice and then shot him in the torso like 8 or 9 times more.
Yeah.
And then had to stomp on his head to actually...
He was perfectly fine. I mean, until he stomped on his head.
Until he stomped on his head, yeah. He was still like crawling and going.
In the beginning, they make it seem like these zombies are going to be a big deal. Like the ninja zombies, for example, like really... like potentially like pretty freaky, like get some cool. Yeah, you freak me out just talking about
Yeah, exactly. And they don't bring those ninja zombies back.
Lots of jump scare opportunities there.
Yeah.
But of course, like the first one had so many jump scares, this one doesn't really, but like like those ninja zombies, there could have been a lot of tension and suspense there. They just have them in one scene.
Yeah.
And they never bring them back. So it's like the people who made it like forgot to edit that bit out of the beginning. They're like, oh, yeah, well, this is cool. We aren't going to do anything with it.
The Deus Ex Machina big ending, all the characters are like hiding on this little ledge or whatever, and all the zombies are surrounding them. They're all T-800s. They're all smart, strong, whatever.
Yeah, they're preparing to die. Like, it could be pretty like dark here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh boy.
But the stakes never land because it's every single main character. This is a lighthearted, quote-unquote, lighthearted comedy. They're not going to kill off
that would be the best joke in the movie if they all died.
That would be really fun, honestly. That would have been pretty funny.
This like heavenly like monster truck like driven by Nevada comes and is like doing like barrel rolls through the air and like smashing crap everywhere, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, overall, fun, mindless, very much like the zombies it depicts in the film. If you aren't looking for anything deep, you just want to have some fun at the movies, go watch it.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the original, you might like it, but just keep in mind the only thing that's really advanced is the special effects and action scenes. Everything else is kind of stayed the same or gotten worse.
Yeah. Alright, everybody, that's all the time we have for Real People Episode 4 Zombieland Double Tap Review. Tune in next week for the Halloween special. We will be talking about the differences and similarities between the 2018 David Gordon Green Halloween film and the 1978 John Carpenter Halloween classic film. But until next time, thanks for watching.